Hello there, thanks for stopping by. This is Mr. B and this is part 2 of my World War I 15-minute lessons. Okay, so let's get started. Well, in the first video, we looked at if you like, the heavy equipment, the stuff that soldiers used to carry around when they were in trenches. So remember those pictures? I'll put some more pictures up now of the trenches in the First World War, 1914 to 1918, when we were fighting Germany. Again, it happened in the World War II as well. You'll see that in a few weeks of my World War II videos, when we were fighting the Germans. And they got stuck in trenches. Basically, one side started to attack the other. They attacked them. They dug down deeper and deeper and deeper until eventually they both ended up in holes in the ground for basically 4 years, sort of shooting each other and stuff like this. It was just pretty horrible. In that one, we also looked at my granddad, Richard Charles Donaldson. I'll put another picture of him here now, who was a stretcher bearer, one of these people who used to save the soldiers from this place called No Man's Land when they were injured and carry them back to safety without even carrying a gun themselves. They would have went all the way through the war without a gun. Imagine how scary that was. And we looked at things like the trench tool that they had, the piggy stick. I don't know if you've seen that. If you've not seen it, you'll have to go back and have a look. And how they managed to protect themselves and look after each other. But now we're going to have a look at the contents of the kit bag. So this is empty now, all this stuff goes in there. This is a kit bag. It does fit normally on a pair of straps that go, we've got the straps on actually, but it fits on a bigger pair of straps that go down to your waist, and then onto this belt as well. It fits onto the back of that. And you have everything in here that's going to allow you to survive for at least 24 hours in the trenches. Now here's the thing, a lot of people think the soldiers spent all the time in the trenches, and that's not strictly true. They probably only spent 2 or 3 days in the very front line trench where they were getting shot at. They've spent 2 or 3 days back in what we call the reserve trench, so it's still a trench but it's a little bit more comfortable, a little bit further back. And then they would have spent about 5 days back at the camp, 4 or 5 days, so where they're cleaning the equipment, they're training and stuff like that. So yes, they did spend a lot of time in the trench, but not as much as what people think. And while you were in there, you would have to take your food with you. Now, the way to a soldier's heart is through his stomach, which sounds a bit strange, that. And what it really means is that if you give a soldier lots to eat, he will be happy. We normally say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, but it's the same sort of thing, really. So soldiers, they also used to say as well that they marched on the stomach. Now I know those things are both sound a bit strange, but basically it doesn't mean he's walking on his tummy. It basically means that you will, that if you keep him happy and fed, he'll be able to fight and march and stuff like that. And we're going to start with this. This here is normally on the outside of the pack, normally goes there like this. That's how you would have carried it. And this is your canteen, your mess. So there's 2 words for it. It's either a canteen or a soldier's mess tin. So it's quite good actually. It all comes apart. You've got 1 there, 2, and you've got 3. You've got 3 different tins that you can cook food on. And you might say to yourself, how can the soldiers actually cook anything? Well, I'll tell you what, before I reveal it, I'll let you have a think about that. So you're in a hole in the ground. You've got some matches, yeah, but you've not really got anything else. You can't build a massive fire or anything like that. So maybe you could have a word with your parent. Maybe you could pause it, parent or teachers, and see what you would do if you was in that situation. What would you do to heat up your food? How would you cook your food? So if you want to pause it and discuss it, you can do, or I'll just give you 5 seconds. You should be used to this by now of my videos. So here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the way they did it was this, with a Tommy cooker. So I mentioned before that the soldiers were called Tommies. They weren't all called Tommy, that was just a nickname. But you get this is a Tommy cooker there. It's worn off now, the label. You can see it's got on the top Tommy cooker. And it's basically got wax in. And the wax is a special kind of wax that doesn't give off any smoke because you don't want to show the Germans where you are. And then basically you put it on there like that. And that is how you cook your food. Now I've made a cup of tea with this outside. I've not cooked any food in it, but I've made a cup of tea, and it doesn't take too long actually. It takes a couple of minutes to heat it up because it's all made of metal, you see. So there you go, a Tommy cooker. Now here's a strange thing. Would you be surprised if I told you that you had to buy the Tommy cooker yourself? The gave you everything else, but you had to buy the little cooking thing yourself. Can you imagine that? I'm not giving you that. You know, you had to buy it. It's unbelievable, really. So let's get on to the actual food itself. So we've got things like this. This is enough rations. I actually have got another tin, but it's burst. Unfortunately, it's over there. So you've had about 4 tins, and that's enough for a day's ration. It doesn't sound a lot, but this tells us a lot about the sort of things that the soldiers used to have. They've all got meat in. So this one's service ration here. That's beef stew. This one again is beef. Yeah, beef stew again. Actually, beef and lamb. That one. And this is bully beef. Now, bully beef is corned beef. You might have had that. If you've not had it, maybe you could get some and try it. And they still make it today. So these are just replica labels that I've put on here. Again, teachers, if you're interested in seeing this stuff in your class, all these artifacts here, apart from the belt, you can have a look at my website, mytopicbox.co.uk, when you can hire it all for use in class. There's a bit of sand coming out, actually, because these actually have sand in the bottom to make them feel really heavy. But there you go. So you'd get them, another tin as well. Plus you'd also get these biscuits. Now, if you've watched the Roman video, this does link in. I don't think I've got it up here at the moment, actually. No, I don't think I have. But in the Roman video, we talked about a really hard bread, which in the British Army we call hard tack. And that's what this is. Now, it's made from brown flour, water and salt. That's basically it. And it lasts ages. I've had these about 6 years, and they've never been damaged or gone mouldy or anything. Now, the way you eat them is you can bite them just like a biscuit, or you can soak them in maybe some beef stew, some bovril, some oxo cubes and stuff like that, and then you can make like a little sort of soup with it if you like. Okay, you also had other things as well. So that's enough rations to last you 24 hours. You had other things sent back. Oops, there's sand everywhere. Other things sent back from home, because it was only 25 miles away between London and between Dover, sorry, and Calais in France. So you know, if you think about it, it was further between the coast and London than it was to France. So they managed to get a lot of post as well, the soldiers. Like every few days they would get post, and even some of the richer people would go over and spend some time in France with their loved ones, with the captains and things like this. And not on the front line, they would have been further back. It was a little bit naughty, actually, but there was a couple of people who did that, but certainly not the regular soldiers. They wouldn't have been able to do that. But you would have got packages sent over from mum and dad, or your girlfriend or your wife, and they would send over some jam and sweets and things like that. And that brings us to the next bit, which is this. So this is something very special. I did mention it in the last one, so I don't know if you went away and researched that. And this is a Princess Mary tin. Now, Princess Mary, I'll put a picture of Princess Mary up now, was the King and Queen's daughter, and she felt really, really sorry for the soldiers in France. So she decided to get this fund going to give all the soldiers something really special to keep, a special treat for Christmas in 1914. So she went to her dad, the King George V, and she says, can I give every soldier a present? Now, they had 2.5 million soldiers at the time, so he said, well, maybe not, but what you can do is start a charity. And everybody donated money. She donated a lot of money, the King did as well, and they gave every soldier a present. And they made so many of these that they was running out of brass, the stuff it's made from, for the actual guns, to make the shells for the guns to shoot at the Germans. So they had to stop for a while. But basically, this is what you got inside it. Some of them had sweets in. One of them had a little diary and a little pen, which a lot of the nurses got. This one has got tobacco in. Now, we know tobacco is not very healthy at the moment, is it? We don't agree with people smoking tobacco. It's not like it can hurt you. But in those days, they didn't really understand that. So you've got, so that one's made of tobacco. This is a real tin, by the way, but this is replica contents. And then you get a picture of the King. And I'll make sure you see proper pictures of these. I'll put these up for you. A picture of the Queen. A picture of the King and Queen. To get the idea, they was trying to show you who'd sent it. And then Princess Mary. Now, I love this picture because while they're dressed in all fancy gear, she's not at all. She really wanted to show people that she really cared about them, and she's not dressed in fancy gear at all. You also got a little card off the King, and you got a little card off the Queen. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it in a bit of a silly voice. Of Princess Mary, sorry. So I'm going to go like this. Are you ready? Do it in my best Princess Mary voice. With best wishes for a happy Christmas and a victorious New Year from the Princess Mary and friends at home. There you go, the things I do for teaching. So there you go, that's maybe you could do a card like that. We could have that as one of our lesson ideas actually. What would you put in a box like this, and what would you say on the card? Maybe that could be our English task for this lesson. So there we go, we've looked at the food, we've looked at the Princess Mary tin, we've got other things as well to keep yourself clean. So we've got soap, no squirty soap in those days, hard soap. You've got tooth powder. Now they never had toothpaste in those days, but tooth powder, it's a white minty powder, a little bit like flour that you put on your teeth and give them a scrub with. You've got this to brush your shoes with, your boots with, and you might think this is a bit strange. Well, it's not really for in the trench, it's for when you come back to the front line. So when you come back to the front line, you were expected to keep yourself clean and look after yourself, just in case, well, to keep healthy, but also in case maybe one of the commanders come or the king came to see you or something like that. And you would also get this is a wash roll. So this wash roll here is for looking after yourself in the trenches. It's hard to believe, isn't it, really, with all that mud, who's expected to keep so clean. But if you think about it, if somebody had toothache, they wouldn't be able to fight, would they? And at the end of 1915, it became a real problem. A lot of soldiers had toothache, so that's when they gave them all tooth powder and toothbrushes. And they sent a load of medical vans, a load of dentist vans as well, like little caravans with wheels on and pulled by horses, that you could get your teeth looked at. We've got a folding knife and fork. We've got a comb that's actually made out of reindeer horn because plastics had only just been invented. Toilet roll, can you see the size of that? It's not very good, is it? A little tiny bit of toilet roll. You've got a razor, a shaving brush. You would also have a razor in here, but because I send this out to schools, I've had to take that out. It's very dangerous, so I've taken that out. But a razor, I'll put a picture on the screen actually, a razor with a proper blade that you could shave yourself with like that. You've got a candle. Now this is really important with the uniforms of the soldiers. They got fleas inside the uniforms, and what they would do is get the candle and go up the seam where all the eggs were, and it would kill all the eggs of the little fleas. And then you've also got this is called a button stick. This is for putting on your buttons on your uniform and polishing them. Got some leather laces there as well. And then you've also got this, and I think this is our last item actually, yeah. This, which is a mirror. There we go. I might see my camera there. This is a mirror that's made of metal, of course, because in the trenches it's going to get broken, isn't it? So there we go. Right, so that was my second 15-minute lesson on World War One. They are only short. These aren't, they're only 15 minutes, so I appreciate it's very, very fast. So I hope you paused it if you needed to. There's going to be a few lessons for you to look at and see if you can find anything interesting to do. And read around the topic as well, see if you can find out anything else. Let me give you a couple of challenges actually. Find out what life was like for some of the women in World War One, because we talk a lot about the men in the trenches, but what was it like if you was a woman back at home? And also maybe you can think about what it was like for the children as well. So there you go. So like I say, if you are a teacher and you are watching, you're welcome to hire this for school. But if you're not, if you're a parent at home, I hope you found it useful, and I hope you get some nice activities out of it. And let's make sure we remember those people who fought in the First World War, because that's really what it's all about. It's really important that we don't forget them. Okay, so thanks very much for watching. You've been watching the second part of my World War One 15-minute lesson. Have a good week.